All right, welcome everybody to our channel. It is well. Today is actually going to be a little different. Today I'm going to be the one that's going to be talking and kind of asking questions. My wife is normally the person that's doing that, but she challenged me to be the one to kind of step up to the plate and
take turns.
Take turns.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say step up to the plate, but take turns. Because I'm more of a kind of a quiet guy that just kind of like to, get into my own world and my own shell. So I'm going to step outside of my shell today and kind of talk to you guys for a minute.
So what are we talking about?
All right, so the topic of today is, well, before I get to the topic, let me set up a scenario first and then we'll get to the question. How about that? Okay. So you got two single Christian people that decide to get married. And during their singleness, obviously, they're Christians, so they have a certain way that they approach God, a certain way that they worship, just the way they live their singleness with their Christianity. But they decide to get married, and through their marriage, now they're combining their union together. And the question I have for my wife today is, if you come together as a married couple and you used to worshiping God as a single individual, how do you bring that together in your marriage to grow together spiritually together? So my question for you today, baby, is if we come together as two married couples.
Oh, we are not two married couples.
We'll come together as married couples.
We're not couples.
Well, we're married. I'm saying we're married now.
As two single people.
It's two single people married.
That are now married.
That are now married. How do we grow together spiritually to make sure that our marriage grows together? I would say, when I say spiritually, I mean more, how do we bring it together to worship God, to make sure that we don't fall apart spiritually?
Okay.
Right.
Whew, that was a mouthful, babe. Okay, so the first thing that comes to my mind really is, prior to marriage, that is an important conversation to have. I definitely would not advise anybody to wait until after marriage to figure that piece out, because if you discover some differences, I think it could just lead to less frustration if you communicate about it early. So let's say that conversation takes place prior to marriage, and the couple realizes that they are on the same page for the most part. I would say that the most important aspects to include in your conversation is probably, start just by, with church in and of itself. Like, there are some people that are Christian people, but they don't necessarily go to church on a regular basis. That's something you definitely are going to want to know about your spouse. If that's something that is important to you, that you do, and you believe in the gathering of believers, you're going to need to make sure that your spouse is, or spouse to be, feels the same way about that.
Right.
If one person, let's say, is not really a church goer and the other person is, you're going to face conflict on Sunday mornings or whatever day it is that you typically go to worship. You're definitely going to, I think, face some conflict if you don't at least tackle that piece, and figure out,
right.
Because that's where you're going to get fed. A lot of times that's where you're going to receive the word, and that makes me think of something else, like if the two people as singles went to two different churches, the very first thing you need to figure out is, which church you're going to go to. Because one church may be, more fitting for that person's personality or, what they're accustomed to, and it may not work for the other person. So I think that if one of the two is not willing to go to the other person's church, then you have to figure out something together, like start fresh and start looking for a church home that you both can call your own. So I would say that would be the beginning. I definitely know that there are other aspects, like, for example, there are some people that are just Sunday morning churchgoers, and that's pretty much it. It doesn't, their life, maybe it does not include a weekly Bible study or something like that.
So that's kind of my question. So when the single individuals come together and they're married now, and obviously you can go to church and you can get nurtured and get fed the word, and you're correct, those aspects of where you pick a church and where you go to all comes into play. But say you narrow all that down, okay, and you guys decide on, okay, we got to go to this church. So you still got, obviously, most churches, either they have churches on Sunday, then they have a Wednesday night Bible study sometimes,
Yeah.
But if just not able to, just depend on your schedule, if you're not able to make a Wednesday night Bible study, what advice or what way could couples come together Monday through Saturday and figure out a way that they can grow together spiritually,
Well, I think every Christian couple's life should include a few basic things. That is, I think that they need to have their own individual prayer life. They need to have their prayer life together. Okay. So that would be the first thing. Both individuals need to, find a way to get fed the word. So whether that be, some people rely on their Bible apps, and every day or every week their Bible app sends them something in their email or sends them a notification. And then, they may dive deeper into whatever particular scripture happens to come up. But I think that the couple needs to spend time studying the word together. So if your church does not offer a Bible study, or maybe you're just not, feeling maybe that Bible study, I would hope not if that's your church home. But I believe that there are other ways, other avenues. One thing that I learned from my mother, growing up, not even growing up, I was an adult, that, she joined a new church. I can recall her joining a new church, and the church was really far away from, where we lived in Houston. So instead of going back to that church on Wednesday night, she joined a community like Bible study group, and it was just as meaningful, and she grew spiritually and she learned. So that taught me that you don't have to just go to Bible study at your church. Like, a lot of people feel obligated to do that because there's a sense of loyalty to their church, and they don't want to feel like, they're breaking that loyalty by, going somewhere else. But I don't think there's anything wrong with it at all. Right. And you can find a community Bible study. I know you and I did that for a while, because the church we were going to, they believed in separate Bible study for women and men, and we weren't necessarily, really feeling like that's what we needed early in our marriage. We wanted to have Bible study together. Right. So, and the community Bible study worked for us for a while. Mm-hmm. But now we're currently doing our own Bible study, at home. And I think it takes a lot more effort. It requires that you dig and find a Bible study, program or book or something that you can follow and dig deep into, and then you have to be fully committed, right, to do that. A lot of times it's easier. It's kind of like working out. A lot of people do better if they go to the gym and they're around others who are doing that same thing and they're working out, and or you go somewhere where you have a trainer because you need that motivation from others. And I think that I do think it's healthy and beneficial to be around other believers and studying, not to just do a couple's Bible study by yourself. But I think it has worked for us to an extent, that we've been able to find some good books to follow and dive into.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons why we have done what we've done as far as at home is just due to the circumstances with COVID right now.
Yeah, but we started it before COVID.
Well, we started before COVID. What I'm saying is that we actually found a church that we really like, and I'm sure that during the week they have Bible study that we would eventually probably would have migrated into, but just due to the circumstances right now, I don't think that we pushed hard on that. Going to an actual Bible study right now. I think as things start to kind of filter off with this situation.
So you saying you sick of doing Bible study with me?
No. I love doing Bible study with you. I'm saying I was just talking about kind of why
being around others.
Right, being around others and why we, haven't just said, okay, let's venture out and, try to find like a community Bible study or our church or something like that to go to. So it's been for individuals who are in that situation, because every state is different as far as their lockdown policy. So if you're in that situation where you can't get to a Bible study, then you have to, if you've always been fed that way, then that this is new as far as coming together spiritually and figuring out how to grow together in the Word, because you guys may have different styles.
And a lot of the churches, I think, during the COVID time, they offer these things online, virtually, or through Zoom or something like that. So I think churches that have a consistent Bible study have probably found a way to bring Bible study to their, church members. But I don't know. I feel like we started this individual Bible study, doing it on our own, long before COVID, ever started. So it's kind of like it wasn't just the reason of, oh, now COVID, yes, we did find a church home but we've been going there for a while now.
But the only reason why we started doing it individually is because we were not able to find something corporately. You know what I'm saying? That was one of the reasons why we did that. Because originally, right, when we originally did it, we were attending a community Bible study, and then just for personal reasons we stopped going there. But we didn't have an actual church home that we called our home, where we felt like, oh, we could just go there and just get actual Bible study done. So we started doing it at home and trying to figure out ourselves how to do it. So which has been helpful, because once we venture back out there, we still have a structure at home that we can actually follow as well. So, I'm just interested how, couples who are Christians that are faced with a situation where things have changed maybe during COVID, or they're in transition of a church home. How do you keep that momentum together to grow spiritually in the Word? Because we're doing it, but we haven't always done it perfectly. And just life and things like it that can get in the way. So it's just interesting to just figure out how people do it and how, what strategies they use. And obviously we like to share some strategies that we use that.
Well, what do you think you said we haven't done it perfectly, but what do you think has made it challenging to do it? Because I think people need to, understand the realness of, right, it's not easy to do at home. And then all these excuses come up that aren't really.
Yeah, I think what makes it challenging is like what makes anything else challenging. You don't work out because you just don't do it. You don't feel like working out, or personally, I tend to find, my style maybe, I tend to listen to a lot of, sermons and stuff online and things like that. And, I used to get into this mindset, okay, well, I'm fed, but really I haven't came together in my household to, I guess, lead out in Bible study with my wife. This was some time ago, we're much better with that now, but this was my attitude towards the time as I was getting fed and feeding myself. And my wife, she may have read her devotion or something like that in the morning. So my attitude was, okay, well, you got yours in, I got mine in, we're good. But it wasn't where we actually brought it together. We didn't have the mindset of bringing it together. We just figured, okay, well, we'll just go to Bible study or our community Bible study or wherever we were going at the time to do our studies. But the routine wasn't there as far as, okay, how do we grow together, in a sense, in a marriage at home, and how do I lead out doing that, so that's more of, what I'm referring to. So, but yeah, that's really, the basis of my question today. And the reason why I asked that is because there are couples that are facing that particular situation. Everybody does it differently, and the key is how you handle that, especially during this time, and what type of strategies do you use, and how do you get through this, and just being able to make sure that you're growing together spiritually. And I know as a man, as men, we're supposed to lead out in that area. So that's something that's been
as husbands.
As husbands, right? We're supposed to lead out in that area. And that's something that I've challenged myself to do. And I want to continuously do that. But I'm finding that it does strengthen your marriage. It does bring you closer to the Lord. And it gets you in a routine, so. So I don't know. You have anything to add, or? Yeah.
No, I would just say that, once you find that's something that works for you, I think, and works for both people together, that, you keep moving in that direction with what you're doing. I think for us, even though we've been married almost 8 years, it still feels like we're in that zone where, especially when we first started our marriage, we belonged to a church home and we stayed there for several years, and then we had this break kind of where we felt like God was moving us some out of that, and then we were just kind of in the wilderness and still desiring church home and desiring to grow together spiritually, but just kind of floundering, I think. And so now that we have a church home that we love, yes, the goal is to get into Bible study there and, and just keep moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. So, again, today, that was pretty much our video of the day, just trying to get an idea of, how you guys, who are a Christian Christian couples, come together spiritually to make sure that even if you're not going to your church on a regular basis now, like I said, due to COVID, or have a Wednesday night Bible study that you attend, what ways do you try to maintain that spiritual connection with the Lord together, and and not just do it separately on your time, on your individual time. So
or not doing it at all.
Or not doing it at all, right. We definitely don't want to not do it at all, so well, I mean, again, that's pretty much the video for today.
We thank y'all for listening.
We thank you for listening. If you like this content, please subscribe to our channel. We'll definitely continuously try to bring more content like this and just talk about everyday real life issues, that married couples deal with. So again, thank you guys for tuning in, and
we love y'all.
We love y'all. Have a good one.